Happy Friday to you. We're studying these letters to the church at Ephesus, particularly to Timothy, the young pastor. We're not going to look into all the details in these letters. There's some very interesting things about food, about marriage, about not letting anyone despise your youth and how to counteract that. We're not going to get into all that. We're looking at this in a broad stroke. I reminded you last week that there are two things that really matter as a church: who we are as people and what we teach as doctrine. There are a lot of distractions. Every generation has faced them. Paul says avoid all that stuff. Concentrate on those things that are the big deals. Make sure that people understand how to live in light of them. So last week we talked about gender roles and we talked about government. This week coming up, we're going to be talking about two other sort of big deals in the context of this letter. One has to do with church leadership. Now, if you've been in church for a little while, you know church can get very painful, very hurtful, and it can rise and fall. And pastors and elders and deacons have a lot to do with that. So we're going to talk about church leadership, what that looks like, what it means for the church, and how we ought to respond to it. The second thing we're going to talk about is what some people commonly refer to as social justice. How do we deal with the inequality as it relates to income? How do we deal with people that are in very, very difficult circumstances? How do we make sure that we're not being taken advantage of by people in our culture who would take everything we have? Does the Scripture speak to that? And should churches be aware of that? And the answer is yes. So we'll take a look at that, and we'll talk about the ways that God has provided for us facing a culture on the big deals of our day. Read my blog, and I'll see you Sunday. God bless.